What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie. Today we got some more Can, live in Brighton, 1975. This is the second of their archival release series that they started back about 3 or 4 years ago. We're in 2024. This was the second one that was released in 2021. And it's a live show from Brighton, 1975. And just like the previous release, it is all improvised material. It is just them literally coming out on the stage and like making stuff up. If you're a King Crimson fan, very similar to what King Crimson did, especially in like 73, early 74, when they would just come up and somebody would start playing and everybody would fall in. It's like those kind of jams, just truly collective improvisation. And so that's how Can sort of like formats their shows, right? So all the track numbers are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in German. But what they do is it's almost as if like I'm trying to find the right analogy. I was using a cooking show for a while, but that's not necessarily right. But really there are elements that they use that you recognize, like chord progressions or melodic ideas. And they definitely come from a song. The last song on here, 7, really awesome Vitamin C jam. Like Vitamin C, their song, definitely the basis for this jam. It's got a Vitamin C. They're not playing Vitamin C, right? They don't sing Vitamin C. Suzuki's not even in the band anymore. There's no vocals on any of these. It's all instrumentals. But Vitamin C is there. Like it's the essence. It is the little groove. It's this little do that's there throughout the song. Dizzy Dizzy. There's like a Dizzy Dizzy vibe in one of the other tracks on here. There's a quantum physics vibe in one of the other ones. There's a hardcore, for sure, this isn't a vibe. This is either the song or the inspiration for the song, a vernal equinox jam in one of these songs. But they're not the song, right? It's almost as if the cooking show analogy was if like you had like 8 different cooks and they can use whatever they want in the kitchen, but they have to use like chicken, right? And so chicken is the Vitamin C or the Dizzy Dizzy or the quantum physics. But each of these people in the kitchen, somebody's making sort of a Mediterranean chicken dish, someone has an Asian chicken dish, someone has like a more modern, maybe French cuisine chicken. I mean, they're using all that same element, but it's completely different. And I feel like every time Can steps out and like quotes a Dizzy Dizzy or feeding off a Vitamin C jam, all the flavor profiles are different. It's not like, okay, they're going to sound the same because you know the song. So even though there are things that are recognizable in here, all of these things are not used as for comfort, but used more as like inspiration to see how can we further twist this idea. 7 tracks on here. I do believe 2 CDs. There's definitely like 3 parts to the show. So I think the first 3 songs, which comprise just over a half hour, about 35 minutes, definitely have a very similar vibe to them. And that each of these 3 songs tend to be less dynamic in the sense that the songs that follow tend to be like a lot more chaotic, random, left turns, detours, right turns, U-turns, all this kind of stuff, where these first 3 tracks tend to be very like linear. Less dynamic in the fact that they're not making these crazy rhythmic shifts. Usually once like the rhythmic idea is established, we're writing that out for the first 13 minutes of the first song, 10 minutes of the second, 9 of the third. Like it's this like single idea, and we're just flavoring it and we're jamming it. And sometimes Caroli's taking the lead, sometimes Zuke's taking the lead. You know, sometimes the keyboard's coming in, sometimes the drummer's just pushing the drumming thing. So they're all adding like eyebrows all over the place, but the ideas tend to be similar. The first one starts off with this nice drums, organ, kind of this steady groove, some really nice sort of rhythmic chord playing, like an Eyes of the World type jazzy feel to it. Crowley eventually kind of takes more of like a lead soloist role about 4.5 minutes into it. And we're kind of dealing with that for about 4 minutes, where it's still got that free-for-all, everybody's improvising, but Crowley kind of seems to be the focus. And so kind of seems to be like the momentum or what they're focused around. About 8.5 minute marks, bass starts doing some fancy walking, kind of shifting the idea around, though we're not getting too far from that. Really good vibe, really fun. Just kind of this straight line that kind of peaks naturally and then doesn't really fall apart, but just kind of ends. But it's a good, really solid start. The second one eventually kind of reaches that same point, but starts with a more like Eric Clapton blues power type thing. We're all just going to throw out little ideas, kind of subtly, kind of build it up. Let the energy kind of slowly build before we like drop into like a nice solid groove. This groove tends to just feels more open, doesn't feel as tightly locked down where there's more room for everybody to kind of do their individual things. But it still feels very like we're going in this direction, very linear. Around the 8.5 minute mark, it's only about 10 minutes. Crowley's playing some melody that every time I'm hearing, I'm like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I don't think it's a Can song, but maybe it is. But there's some melody that just seems so familiar that it's just kind of catchy and hooky. And then we kind of tighten up for a while, and then things kind of fall apart for a while. Kind of similar to the first one. The final one in this sort of trio that opens up. We're also starting off with that sort of blues power, but this one's a little more Dire Straitsy, a little more like Private Investigations, kind of building that energy. Then the drums come in and just completely take over. The energy goes up. Vibe is really good. We're getting some sort of dizzy ideas in here. Very like the ending of it feels very like all of the energy from the first three songs is like just funneling into this peak. So we get what feels like a pre-thought out, pre-planned, almost pure rock and roll peak at the end of like the first 35 minutes. And each of these three songs just kind of funnel into that third one. And that third one is all the energy, all the good vibes, and it just kind of builds to what feels like just a natural mid-show peak. The next two songs, 4 and 5, Veer and Vumph, which are 14, almost exactly 15 minutes each, both of them. They're 17 seconds apart. Both are a lot more dynamic than those first three. They're all over the place. They're going here, then here, then here, then here, and weird different rhythms, and things are just shifting all the time, and the energy is all over the place. But in a fantastic way. I mean, these almost feel like the first three might have been the appetizers. These are more like the entrees, a lot more dynamic, a lot more stuff going on. The fourth one starts with some, by far, the most aggressive music so far. Just deep sounds, deep bass, just like heaviness. We settle into this really nice groove around the 3 minute mark, kind of settle in. It gets kind of low key, but we're still kind of all over the place, kind of some skittish energy here. Caroli takes over for a while about the 7.5 minute mark. No, for a while about the 4 minute mark. Around the 7.5 minute mark, we do like this space breakdown where things kind of start to feel like they fall apart, maybe getting a little more like floaty. And then around 10.5, we're starting to build back up into that dramatic build up, working towards the climax. Then we get more cool down. We're just kind of all over the place. There's a hardcore vernal equinox jam in the middle of this thing. Yeah, but it's just like, yeah, this is like an all over the map type jam. This is just crazy. They follow that up with another all over the map, very dynamic type jam. Number 5, Veer, a little bit funkier. Starts off kind of this really nice little cool, low and sneaky motif that Caroli keeps flirting with. Organ's really good. The organ's kind of almost providing this sort of like swelling energy, kind of this uplifting type vibe. Yeah, the Caroli leads kind of reminds me of some of the ideas at the end of the third song, just these very melodic and almost inspirational and almost like uplifting and almost like, yeah, let's just like, type stuff. After that, after Caroli stuff, we kind of go into this kind of techno, deep, dark, cool, proggy, rocky groove. Things get deep. Then we get some deep drum bass groove comes back. Like we're all over the map. It starts to get really playful around 9.5. Get some start and stop energy. We get super fast, sort of that fast Can groove that we're familiar with, about 9.5, but it's also flirting with the can energy that they like to flirt with a little too much. But we're not fully committed to the can, but there's definitely some dancing energy here and some like yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, and at the end, it's just like by the end of this 14 minutes of 5 and you've had that 14 minutes of 4, it's almost like the last 3 or 4 minutes of 5 are just like groove within a jam within a groove, and everybody's just got all these ideas that they've been flirting with for the first 45, 50 minutes of the show, and now they're all coming together in just this awesome ending. It's absolutely amazing. 6, it's when we're coming down. We got a little pure can space element. It's not pure space. You got percussion in there, but this is the spacey song right here. This is with them, kind of that really disjointed sort of King Crimson type improv. We get, it's just kind of a little all over the place. We get that eventually starts to coalesce around halfway through it. It's like a 10-minute song. I think around the 5-minute mark, things start to coalesce around this slightly sort of Caribbean jam that kind of goes for a couple minutes. It's just kind of some nice, just kind of Caribbean dance music, a little bit like that. Almost flirting with a full moon on the highway type vibe for a while in this jam. We get some nice peaks. We get some nice coasting. We chill out a little bit. The jam builds back up into some swirly energy. We're a little bit all over the place, but there tends to be this more of like positive vibe to this, and it's very almost danceable, definitely not touching into that darkness that 4 and 5 did. And then for the last song, 7, it almost seems like it starts off like with bits and pieces of the first 6. There's like a Pink Floyd proggy type vibe in this for a while, some really nice psych guitar playing, some really nice sort of organ-esque that's setting up sort of an Echoes Pink Floyd type vibe. That's building up to this nice, slow, dancey Vitamin C jam. Just out of like the Pink Floydness, you just hear this doop, 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 this like little hints of Vitamin C. And then after a couple minutes, they just commit to this Vitamin C jam. And it's like they've hit another level and they're locking in this crazy groove, and Crowley just starts going off and the jamming just starts going off. It's just absolutely fantastic. This goes for quite a while. It gets like dark, it gets psychedelic. Eventually we go onto this full-on deep space chaos jam for a while. This kind of crazy dark free-for-all section. The drums come in and just start attacking and going crazy. Organs providing some chaos. And then without any sort of real resolve or like any sort of natural peak or any sort of like wrapping the loose ends up, things just kind of end and fall apart. And it's exhilarating. And it's like 90 minutes of just some of the most magical stuff ever. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I recommend it. I highly recommend it. If you like jam band music, if you like improv, if you are a fan of any sort of Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd proggy stuff, Fish, Moe, Allman Brothers, like at some point they're flirting with some of those ideas, but they're doing them in a way that just sound like nobody else. I mean, it's just, they're all incredible musicians. Yeah, it's a must hear. I did not make a list, but I've done 2 of them so far. Stuttgart in 75, Brighton, live in Brighton 75. If I had to rank them, Stuttgart's still number 1. Stuttgart has this massive half-hour plus piece that this doesn't. While this does have, pretty much the same amount of music, there is something about that really long seep in that, not a single idea, but seep in one jam for 35 minutes that just provides a little more satisfaction to me. But there's nothing to complain about this one. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The sound is not perfect. I think almost all of these were collected. Whoever's running the can estate or whatever put out a call to like fans. Hey, if you have bootlegs, if you have material, send them to us. They're taking that stuff, cleaning it up, releasing some pretty fine stuff that they didn't officially record. So the sound is not great. And there are times when noise, in a sense, takes over, right? Just because so much is happening. But the important stuff comes through. The vibe comes through. The music comes through. The amazing musicians comes through. So yeah, this would be number 2. But both of these, 1 and 2, Stuttgart in 75, Brighton in 75, are fantastic. I highly recommend this. Get it. I'm going to rank all the Can Live stuff. And right now, this and Stuttgart, man, they're kind of must-haves if you're a Can fan. I don't know, or if you're a jam band fan, or if you're a music fan, or whatever. Got to get this. All right. Let me know your thoughts on this album. Let me know if you check it out and like it. Let me know things I missed out. All that stuff. One of the guys watching the other one sent some of his bootleg tapes in. Promises maybe some good stuff being released later this year. So that's exciting. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Go listen to some Can. Subscribe, like, share, comment, do all those things. Peace. Talk to you later.